So now there's four of you.
There's four of us. Yes, we had Joel. Again, timing is great, isn't it? So we had Joel and moved to Guildford when he was 8 weeks old to start Curacy. Now, I knew nobody in Guildford. I think I'd been to Guildford maybe once in my life before I applied for the job. And yes, it was a fantastic Curacy on some levels and a very tough one on others, because my boss, her marriage collapsed when I'd been there just a year. And her husband was a vicar down there as well, so he was on the team. And basically what we had to go and tell the community there was the marriage is over, so this isn't a separation, this is over, and we had no idea. And by the way, you're never going to see this guy again. But because they have teenage daughters, we're not going to tell you what's happened. You just have to manage with the fact that she's going to carry on and she's okay. And you can quite imagine what that would do to a church to have that happen. And who was in there in the middle of it to pick up the pieces? Well, it was the curate who'd been there 1 year. He was a little bit clueless and needed to learn a lot about pastoral work and steadying the ship, which I did. And she stayed on for about a year after that, and very graciously when she left she said, Mark, I do realise that you've been spending the whole of the last year and a half shoveling somebody else's poo. And that was exactly how it felt, I have to say. That was just it. But what it gave me was, it was very hard. It was a hard time. What it gave me was a sense that that actually this life isn't always easy. Being in ministry is often about shoveling someone else's poo, really. And when it doesn't suit you and you don't want to do it. I'm never going to be shocked by people and by how people can be. Now this is a lovely community as far as I can see, but you need to know that I'm not easily shocked or fazed or thrown off course if I want to do something and if I feel like that's what God's given me. And I think I think most clergy who survive in this life, the dropout rate is quite high over the years, but most clergy who survive are pretty tough, actually. And I think I got that through that job. But what happened was we arrived in Lightwater, and I remember I had this really strong picture. I started the Arrow course, which was how I met Steve, who was the old vicar here. And the picture I had, they asked us to draw a picture, actually, our first night there. Arrow is this 18-month leadership program, which Steve helps to lead. And they said, draw a picture of just where you are. And I drew a picture. I'd been digging over what was going to become our veg patch in our enormous garden, an unfeasibly stupid garden in Lightwater. And I dug over this veg patch, and I had this picture of, so my picture was the veg patch, but the rain was still coming down. And that was how the church felt in Lightwater, that actually someone else has done the digging and someone else has planted the seeds, and all I really needed to do was give them a bit of water and a bit of sunshine, and it all started happening. So that was how the church felt. But in our lives, it felt like we're in a safe place. It's okay, so why does it still feel like the rain's falling? And we needed to do quite a lot of unpacking with that, because really we'd been married 6 years by then, and we'd just gone from crisis to crisis, as you can appreciate. In our engagement, both my parents had died. A couple of years later, we'd had to move with a new baby and I had to learn to be a parent and a minister all at once. And then this all blew up in Guildford. And then, so we arrived in Lightwater, and we realised, we did a bit of work together, and we realised that actually we do crisis really well. We're very good at crisis, but we weren't very good at real life. Just like when the crisis stopped, what do? You look at each other and you sort of, oh, it's quiet now. How does that work? And we had to work out what that meant for us. Some people love crisis, don't they? They go, people love being pitched into terrible situations, and being made to sort it out. And I can do that, but I don't love it.
So the final song?
Oh, the final song.
Is this a crisis song?
This is very much not a crisis song. It's a family song. So this was what was on in our hire car on our first family holiday abroad. We went to a friend's house in France and had Bruno Mars playing for virtually the whole time. Just fantastic songwriter. And this is just, I am so unromantic, I cannot tell you. I am the least romantic person. I'm quite good at telling my family I love them, but what I'm not good at is noticing anything about Eileen. You know, I'm not good at, you know, she'll say, oh, do you like what I'm wearing today? I'll be like, oh yes, it looks very nice. You could have told me that earlier. So this song is basically everything that I want to say to my wife all the time. So I just have to kind of play this a lot and try and be that person.